Is it time to reveal your real magic and become seen, known, and valued? So, welcome everyone to this week's Visionary Voices Deep Dive Live. I'm so excited to be introducing you to my business buddy and deep diver, the Abundance Activator Lara Waldman. So, if you're here with us live, just type in hi or hello in the comments, or type in replay, welcome, and tell us in the comments. I'd love to know, what would you love to shift around stepping into the next level of your abundance, both money and about living a life that feels abundant on every level. So just post that in the comments as well. Great, so let's dive in. So I want to tell you a little bit about Lara. I've known Lara for about 3 years now. Is that right, Lara?
That's right.
Yeah, just over 3 years. And what I love about Lara is that so often, when we're in conversation or when I see her posts or emails, she's so often saying or writing things that name my own lived experience of the deep journey of transformation. And vice versa. She says that to me. It's like, I could have written that. So it's lovely. And I know when we used to meet up at conscious business networking events in London, we always had these super deep conversations. So I'm really looking forward to this today. So Lara is the author of Money Manifestation Mastery, and she is the host, uh, Abundant Business Network is her Facebook group, which beautiful group for conscious leaders, business owners, and service-based entrepreneurs who are expanding into the next level of their purpose, their power, and prosperity. And she is the Abundance Activator. She's going to be telling us today at the end about her beautiful, really powerful 7-day wealth retreat program that's coming up next week. So Lara, welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a
Yeah.
great pleasure.
Yeah, I know my people absolutely love you because we have a lot of the same people that we're serving. So I'd love to know, just how did you get started in this work? What was your path to teaching what you're bringing today? Because it was quite an unusual one. You've gone, just tell me about your path to where you are now.
Yeah, well, when it comes to visibility, it's been a long, old journey, about 25-year journey, and there's been different stages starting out. Getting basically a vision, a message that I thought meant I was going to be an actress. So I took myself off to theater school and started putting myself out there then, which was terrifying. And then I had a kind of awakening, a spiritual awakening, if you like, where I was told in meditation that I was a healer. And so I started on this path of healing, transformation, self-development, my own inner healing, and also working as a healer. And I started to get, I was very much in hiding, very, very much in hiding. I couldn't even tell people I was a healer. That's how blocked I was in terms of really expressing myself. I was like, I do something that's kind of like massage, very relaxing. And a number of years into that healing journey, I started getting the message, because I get downloads, I get very clear inner guidance when I meditate and go within, that I needed to get online, and I needed to start being more visible. And they said, Lara, how are people supposed to find you if they don't know about you? And to get online, to be visible, and to start a YouTube channel. And that was the first one of this, my first real big visibility breakdown, because I was absolutely terrified. So that was sort of the first thing. And then I overcame that huge visibility hurdle. And then
You did, and I just want to name you have, the last time I checked, over 10,000 followers on your YouTube channel. It's like really, huge visibility there.
yeah, it's come out at 14,000 actually on
14.
YouTube. Yeah.
Nice.
So I think I started that about 6 years ago, or maybe, yeah, 6 or 7 years ago. And so the first one was just the most terrifying thing I ever did, posting that first video. And then after about, I can't remember exactly the timeline, maybe about 5 years ago, I started getting the message that I needed to particularly support heart-centered women. with
Mm.
welcoming money into their life and their business, because we needed to transform the financial system through our hearts, through this feminine energy, which I didn't totally understand, if I'm honest, at the time, and was being guided to, yeah, start coming out about that, coming out about talking about money. And this was just the next huge, massive visibility block and obstacle I had to overcome around coming out around that. I mean, that's been a huge, huge journey. I privately went through it for 5 years, and then it was like, okay, it's time to start teaching about this, speaking about this, coming out about this, writing a book about this, which was, very, very uncomfortable and painful for me at the time. Now I'm comfortable talking about it, but it wasn't. So it was sort of, there's been different stages, and each thing I've been divinely guided, whether that's from my higher self, heart, soul, however you want to say it. I got very, very clear messages that that was what I was supposed to do.
Beautiful. I love how everything you do is so divinely guided, and I'd love to, hi Suze, hi Vera, hi, I think Rosalie is here as well. So just post in the comments what's your experience around abundance, and coming out as a spiritual person. Where are you, and where would you love to be with this topic? I'd just love to keep you engaged with this as well. So, what I'm really hearing, Lara, is that there's a stage, and you get the guidance, you feel the trembling, and you find the courage to follow your guidance at every stage. So, how do you keep taking it to the next level, and how is it that you actually overcome the visibility blocks? Is it just stepping out there? What supports you to do that?
It's a really good question. And so obviously it sounds really simple, like get the guidance, I have some fear, and then I take some action, and it's really not like it's much more messy than that. Behind the scenes, obviously people, when you start seeing me visible, I've overcome a lot at that point. So first of all, I freak out and I go into sort of a trauma response. I've realized I'm really obsessed with trauma and the nervous system. So basically it's like this freeze or flight, it could be fight, flight, freeze, those responses. So first there's a total freak out, which leads to no action, like this kind of freezing, or even reversing, like kind of hibernating, going back in. And the way that I soothe myself, right, to be able to take action is there's multi layers. So I do a lot of work on my own, so meditation, journaling. So in meditation, I'm calming my nervous system down, tuning in with my guidance, and that can be through journaling or meditation. So getting really clear guidance and instructions after I kind of work with calming down my system. Getting out in nature is really important. So moving my body, getting connected, getting really grounded, and working through all of the old trauma, pain, belief systems, fears that are coming up. So I love emotional freedom technique. That's one that I love. I make sure I get, I've really learned to be held. I wasn't so good at this. Actually, no, I was. I would get healing. I would, or getting a massage, or getting cranial sacral therapy, or acupuncture, reflexology, something that holds my body so that my whole nervous system can start to rewire itself and get aligned. Those are, so yeah, movement is part of that. So those are kind of my main practices. Calling a friend, there's some, soul sisters I've got that I, maybe cry to or freak out to as well, and
Yes.
share all the blah, 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 blah. So that's really important, that kind of network of support, people that can hold me through that process of deep healing and transformation, essentially. And it's not a straight line, and it's not suddenly like, okay, face the block, clear the block, that's it, and now we move. It's a constant work in progress for
Yeah.
me.
Taking it
Because
to the next level.
yeah, because I'm always being given a next level. I don't
Yeah.
get much less time.
Yeah.
So, and that's a choice, obviously, but I'm always looking into that kind of expanded, wanting to live from that more expanded, that more abundant place, right? And so there's always something I'm working with and working through.
Beautiful. And I love that. And I know, I stepped into the next level of my visibility recently in doing my first Facebook group style launch and challenge. And I could definitely feel stepping into that. I was kind of, the old habits of hiding were coming up again. The procrastination, that freezing that you're describing, was all coming back. And it's like taking, living our own practices on the next level so that we can keep going. But yeah, there's always the next level. So just going to go through some comments. Susan was saying there's so much abundance in my life in every area except money wise. I find it hard to charge money for something that comes to me naturally. And hi Anne, hi Dee. And Dee is saying I'd love how you name all the experiences and practices to take the experience really seriously. Yes. So in terms of what comes to you naturally, and I know you spoke a little bit about this, but I know you have very strong spiritual gifts. And one of the blocks for visionary leaders, and I know it was for me, is that coming out of the closet to own your spiritual gifts and actually charge for the value that they bring and own the value that they bring. So, what was your process around this, and how do you help people? Like Zeus was saying, how do you charge money for something that comes naturally, especially if it's on that, intuitive gift side of things.
My goodness, we need like a whole day workshop for this question. So it's a deep one. But first of all, one thing I would say is these gifts that come naturally to you. If you really get honest with yourself about how much time and energy and money have you invested in honing those gifts. So yes, they come naturally, but how much time and energy have you given to getting to that place where it becomes natural? So I like to think sort of the professional dancers, that once you see them on stage, it's just like flow and it's so easy for them. All the training, right? So we need to think about that. We need to think about that and acknowledge what it's taken for you to get to this place. Now, this was a huge part of my journey. I just wanted to like save the world. I had a savior complex, and also the sense that it was like we need to save the world, and I was just giving away, charging very little, sometimes charging nothing. And so I've been on a very, very big journey around this, around learning to charge my worth, even though your worth is priceless. But so it's very, very important in order for you to be able to give, and your great gift, you have to receive. And if we think about it with the breath is the perfect teacher for that. In order to inhale, we have to exhale. And inhale, you have to exhale. And there needs to be a balance of the giving and receiving, because if we're just giving out and it's not really being valued or fully received, we drain our energy, we drain our resources, and that can lead us to burnout. And also financially, right? At the moment, at this time on this planet, we exchange with money. So in order for you to be able to give your great gifts and serve on a deep level, you need to be well supported. So when we're looking at why is that hard to receive money, to charge for what you're doing, this is why I love the money work, because we're going to discover there's a big, huge abundance block there. There's a real wound around receiving that's not about money at all. And just so that's one bit. So we go very, very deep with that one. But before we go into that, what I want to say is that what I've learned about charging, which I find fascinating, I've charged huge varying price points. I charge very well now, but there was a time where I really didn't. What I found is that when you price your services, let's say in alignment or appropriately, what I found is the deeper the transformation for the person that's receiving your service. So there is something interesting about how invested the person is that's receiving your service, and how much they're able to receive. And so what I found is the more that I charge, the more that my clients receive, the greater the transformation. And something extraordinary started to happen, that as my pricing increased, my gifts could come through on a new level. And somehow when the pricing was more contracted and smaller, it contracted my gifts. And this kind of blew my mind, and it still does, that as my price point expands, which is a whole journey in itself. There's there's more room for these gifts to come through. And also the person on the receiving end is able to receive these great gifts because they've invested, they've made the choice. So like, I'm ready, I'm in, they're committed. So there's a very, very powerful exchange that happens around pricing and around what you charge and what the person who's receiving your service invests in and decides on in terms of their transformation.
Beautiful. There's such wisdom in that. I love that. And and I get the sense, I see this in myself, that actually they're investing in themselves.
Yeah.
And I know for me, when I invest in something that at a price point that's meaningful for me, I'm like, you have my attention. I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
I'm committed. I'm in. Where if it's a different kind of exchange, it's like, yeah, I can see that. My commitment isn't the same. And I can see that with my clients as well. So that's beautiful. Yeah. So do post in the comments, people who are here, what takeaways are you getting from this? There's such wisdom in what you're sharing here, Lara, and I love how that your gifts are coming in even stronger as you get more aligned with your pricing, and that it's a process. It's a
Yeah.
step-by-step process just to keep evolving into.
Exactly. And I would say, like, don't go and just quadruple your pricing overnight. I wouldn't recommend that because it's a whole inner journey to expand your pricing.
Mm,
So you just want to take that next step and expand a little bit because it's so huge. Your pricing in your business takes you on a very, very deep journey.
mm,
So yeah, just and there's a whole behind the scenes that go on around pricing and aligned pricing. So, just really just take you that next little step, that next baby step.
yes.
I would say it's not a race. It's not faster is not better because your whole energy system and nervous system needs to be behind that price point in order also for you to make sales. So we're kind of going into a slightly different subject now, but it's just to say go gently with increasing your pricing.
Yes. Yes. So Natasha is saying, love that our gifts got bigger when she increased her pricing. And Cecil saying, thank you for that response. A lot of wisdom in there indeed. Yes, true. Um, Gorgeous. And you're talking about going deep. And I know that these, both the visibility and the abundant blocks, they go super deep. And I know that you cover some of this deeper stuff we're talking about. You cover in your beautiful Living Abundance Mastermind. And I was in there a few weeks ago delivering Healing the Witch Wound and Healing the Invisibility of Feminine Wisdom workshop recently. So I'd love to hear more about you, about what comes up, for you and your people. How deep do these blocks go, and how do you go about healing and transforming them in the work that you do, both in your Facebook group, because I know you'll offer amazing free content in there, and in your mastermind, your deeper programs.
Well, yeah, it is. It's very deep work, and it's amazing. You sort of start with, oh, let's look at my money blocks and why am I having trouble receiving, and it's an absolute visibility. They dance together, abundance and visibility. And so it's a journey, right, of starting to scratch the surface of what's going on. And we reveal more and more and more layers about what's going on here. I think this is a lifelong journey. I think this is a lifelong journey. And for the first 10 years on my kind of spiritual path, I was trying to get to the end point that I guess was enlightenment. I'm not sure what I was like going for, but like, love, everything is fine. And I've come to accept this is a lifelong journey because we have, hundreds of years of history also to sift through. So there is where we are now, and then there is the life that you've experienced, your lived experience, that starts in the womb, that starts as you're being formed and developed in that womb space. Your whole system, your energy system, your perceptions of the world start through your mother's nervous system, your father's nervous system, and all the lived experience that you had from this lifetime, and all the programming, the conditioning, the rules, all that you've been taught about what's possible, what isn't possible. And there's a huge amount to sift through just with that lived experience of your lifetime. any trauma, for example. And then one of my favorites is really looking at, because I've been doing so much deep diving in the past 25 years, and then it's like, oh my God, it doesn't stop there. And then there's the ancestral line. So science now proves, as far as I know, that trauma gets passed down from generation to generation. I think now we know it goes like 15 generations back at least. And so what I started to understand was that we have this history of experience, of lived experience through your ancestral line that gets passed down from generation to generation with those lived experiences. And also there's, the collective consciousness, there's the society that you've been raised in, the culture that you've raised in. I find it so interesting working with people from different countries and all the imprinting and the programming based on those countries, and also maybe perhaps like the religion that may be connected to that, for example. So there's a lot to sift through. Also, depending on, your identity, your gender identity perhaps, or your sexuality. There's a lot around that as well. So yeah, your race, also based on, there's a lot of, racial trauma, for example, that creates huge abundance blocks. So there's a lot to sift through. And so I don't want, again, that to be sort of overwhelming, because really we just need to start with where we are now and what's presenting itself in the now. And your conscious self will guide you through step by step what you're ready to meet. But at the core of it, what I've found is around self-worth, around how we feel about who we truly are. And because of all the kind of historical trauma and wounding and damage, that has created this sort of separation between who we are, between our inner nature and our outer nature. And so this is a big part of my work, is like, how do we come back into wholeness? And what I found is we just, particularly for the women that I mentor, not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, not feeling deserving. We're not connected to who we are. And so we're really funneling right back down to the core of who we are, to connect back to our true abundant nature, to connect into who we are, so that from that place we can feel safe, safe and secure to rise in visibility, using our voice, showing up and sharing who we are, having that confidence and courage. So there's a whole journey of like funneling down right to the core of the wound of separation, and starting that healing journey to come back into alignment, which, it's an ongoing process.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I can just feel it in my system as you're speaking about it. I can feel the depths of that naming of those deep, deep wounds and all the different levels. I work on these levels too, the personal, the ancestral, the collective, and we're healing it on behalf of not just of ourselves, but for human history. And that's gorgeous. And then reclaiming that core of who we are and bringing out that core value and essence. So beautiful. And I just D in the comments here, Sarah, I can feel that when we feel totally seen and appreciated, also money wise, we feel more open to be deeper in what we share. That's kind of naming what you're saying as well. And Vera also saying, yeah, I've struggled with receiving. So I'd love to share, and you've named some of this, but when that happens, what becomes possible? What difference does it make when we go deep? We heal and transform these blocks that are coming up. We can only deal with what's coming up in the moment. But what kind of results do you see people getting? What transformations happen when we do this?
Well, I mean, it's extraordinary. And first, what I want to say is, when you're seeing someone visibly in their business, successful in their business, there is so much that goes on behind the scenes. So I am a huge advocate of celebrating, particularly, I'm a big advocate for celebrating women, but all people. When you're seeing people rising in their truth, it's like the behind the scenes, it's like we're seeing the tip of the iceberg. So that's just something to acknowledge. There's a huge amount that goes on behind the scenes in order to start seeing those results, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, the more visible you are, and the more that people get to know you and see you and hear you and resonate with your message, there are more clients, right? Potentially, if you're working with clients. Or I see, my clients landing new contracts if they're working in that sort of business model, a growth of their communities. So being able to hold space for community, for greater connection, right? Greater connection, greater networking, feeling confident. Maybe it's to show up to a networking event, or being interviewed, getting more exposure through people's networks, obviously receiving more money into their business, having the confidence to sort of create, maybe programs or packages, and being able to then go out and market it, because we do need to do marketing and sales. And so the confidence to kind of market what you're doing and sharing what you're doing and selling what you're doing, confidently sharing your price point and what you're offering as well, inviting in, confident to kind of invite in and share, making content, creating content, for example, like videos as well,
Mm,
for example. I mean, there's so many. And that's obviously on a business level. We're wanting to see kind of obviously community growth and network growth and income growth. And then there's behind the scenes around creating, I see creating richer, deeper connections, more intimacy, more love, more support, more
mm,
space for relaxation, self-care, looking after yourself,
yeah.
prioritizing that which is really important to you. For me, I call my work living abundance, because money is just a small percentage. It's an important part, it's an important piece, but there's so much more to the richness of living life of abundance. So those are the things that kind of pop out. Also, yeah, taking better care of your body, taking better care of your health, really kind of fine tuning that, because every area of your life like feeds into the whole. So pretty huge transformation, I would say, over time. And sometimes it's like boom, very fast. Like when sometimes people will come into my free retreat, for example. One woman doubled her business, doubled 2 weeks after the retreat, for example,
Wow.
which was amazing. Someone else started manifesting an extra £500 a month, for example, and then and huge, clients in my mastermind within a few weeks were like 20 grand just appeared out of nowhere. And that's really fun. I love to share the stories because they're really fun. But it doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes we have to go on a longer, deeper inner journey before we're able to, or we have the capacity to receive on that next level. Because there's the inner game, and then there's also, the practical actions that need to be taken as well.
Mm. Oh, beautiful. And I love that. I love that living abundance. I can feel that in my whole body. Well, every area of life is included, including the body and the health and the relaxing and self-care and relationships. It just feels so holistic and juicy, and not just, the numbers, which are important as well, but not the only story.
Yeah.
And I know so much has transformed for you over the last few years in your business. So what have you found with your own, recent experience? Anything that's relevant to share about your living abundance that you'd love to share?
Well, I mean, for me, just do you mean on my inner journey?
Yeah.
What's been inwardly? I mean, gosh, it's always, I mean, I'm always going through pretty epic transformation. For me, I feel, in a way, I would say on a deeper inner level, the last 20, 25 years has been about healing my trauma, and really like this whole trauma response that happened, in a way, a very long time ago now, that was still kind of playing. I call it my mother wound, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working on that very deeply for 20 years. Like, when is this going to shift? When is this going to shift? And this mother wound is so deep. And obviously, I see this is not just about my mother, but it's also about, Mother Earth, and how we, show up in connection and safety, and to feel loved and celebrated. So my mother would made me feel like I was disgusting. I was ugly. I was kind of like a piece of shit, not valuable, not worthy. I was too much. Like that felt I was very dark and bad. So then what happened was a big part of who I am, my gifts were in the shadow of shame. So I
Mm.
often say your abundance lies in the shadows of shame. The deep shame about who I am, because that was not my mother was not able to hold and receive and celebrate
Yeah.
because of her trauma and her father's trauma, and
Yeah.
it goes, and all of this deep sever from the feminine as well, which has been going on for such a long time. So um And I would say even like this last year, the shocking sudden death of one of my best friends and the murder of George Floyd, and really waking up with the Black Lives Matter movement and getting COVID twice and now having long COVID. This last year has been massive, so painful, but there's been this huge, what feels like finally this shifting of this deep old trauma wound.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously there's always new levels, right? But it feels like something's finally started to unhook. Something's finally started to unhook. And I'm very tapped into the collective consciousness and what's going on within all the sort of like the microcosm and then the macro. And even through the depth of pain, I'm feeling openings like never before.
Yeah.
Like ways to, I'm able to access and embody and connect in a way that I haven't had been able to access before.
Yeah.
So that's my own personal journey, but I'm also feeling that there's something quite powerful opening up collectively in the planet. And I see all that psychically. That's one of my gifts. And then we have to go through the lived human experience of your own version of that, which is really intense.
Mhm.
So I would say that, just that.
Yeah, just that. Just that. Yeah. I love what you're naming here, and it's so deep. And, and I feel that at the core, it's being able to hold space for all of it, and expanding our capacity to hold space for all of it, and to heal and transform it. And gosh, what a massive transformative year that you've been through, not easy. And I hear you about the energies that are available to us now and how they're shifting so much if we choose this path of transformation. But it's beautiful, and I love that how it's such a healing journey. This journey to living your abundance is such a healing journey on every level. So I'd love to invite people deeper into your world. And I know I've done your Living Abundance Live workshop, and I know you go so deep into both your weekly trainings in your Abundant Business Network Facebook group, and your Living Abundance, your wealth retreat that's coming up next week. So just tell us more about how can people go deeper with you, because I know you do 7-day free retreats in your group. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to this. This is a really powerful week. It's completely free, and you come in this Living Abundance Wealth Retreat. This one starts on Monday, July the 12th. And this is a huge deep dive into your relationship with money. So we're doing powerful money manifestation, releasing money blocks. I feel like it doesn't quite do it justice calling them money blocks, but we're doing, it's like cleansing the financial system within and without. And we are activating the next level of your business through activating the next level of your purpose. So, I talk about purpose, power, and prosperity. So we're really stepping into the next level of your purpose and your power, which is part of it, heart aligned power. So we are learning how to wake up, particularly that feminine power that's guided by the heart, that's guided by the body wisdom, not this misuse of power. I think a lot of women I speak to are scared of the power because all we've seen is misuse of power. We're healing the feminine, but we're also healing the masculine. So this is also about balancing those masculine and feminine energies. And we also look at taking aligned action, that masculine energy, but that, how I see it, is sort of being led, guided by the feminine. So that masculine's in service to that feminine wisdom inside. So we're spending the whole week really going in a big portal of transformation, tapping in, connecting, grounding, listening, waking up. And then, by the end of the retreat, we're getting clear on what, from that new alignment, right? We've done all that clearing, releasing, what's next and what's the next step. And I have lots of beautiful testimonials of huge shifts just from that week. Obviously, you need to show up, you need to be present to fully receive. And that's coming up, and it'll be a pleasure to have you. We're going to be going live. I'm going to be going live in Zoom each week at 1 p.m. UK time, but there will be a replay. So you can also come in and access the replay. For those I know in New Zealand, it's a bit late, for example. And so that's happening. And then each week in the Abundant Business Network, I do a masterclass each week on Wealthy Wednesdays. So that's another place you can come and connect with us there, and also network with amazing people in this group, amazing, conscious, heart-led leaders, business owners, change makers, visionaries. So for me,
Yeah.
all I see, like my purpose right now is like it's time to connect, it's time to gather, it's time to network, to weave like stronger webs. This is
Mm.
what I'm being guided that we need to be doing now, is really coming together in connection, cooperation, collaboration, community, and support each other. Gone are the times of like, the one like guru or the one at the top and all of the followers. And it's like it's a leveling time now where I see us all kind of holding hands, rising together, you know, arms linked. That's what I see, how we're going to thrive moving forward. So this is what I'm trying to kind of create in my networks at the moment.
Beautiful, beautiful. I know you have a gorgeous logo for that, of this light grid around the planet that you share. And this Abundance Business Network was born from that vision of, okay, let's connect and we're stronger together. So it's beautiful. I've shared the link to the retreat sign up, and I will find and share the link to the Abundance Business Network group as well, which is where it's happening, isn't it? It's,
Actually, no, I've decided
oh,
to do the pop-up Facebook
okay.
groups.
So there's
Um,
two different groups.
There's two
Okay.
different groups because I want to create a little bit more intimacy. I did it in the
Mm,
Abundant Business Network last time, and
yeah.
there wasn't quite as much engagement. So I wanted to create maybe a smaller group to create a bit more safety, because when
Mm,
we're doing money work, abundance work, as you know, it's deep, deep stuff comes up. So I wanted to kind of maybe have a slightly smaller, more intimate group for the retreat, and then you'll be invited to come and join into the Abundant Business Network from there.
beautiful. Good to know. So I'll share the link to both of them. But that just sounds so juicy and so generous, to be sharing all of this with people, to hold this space for connection, for transformation. And I love that you're bringing in the aligned action. It's a step that I always talk about. It's so important for visibility as well. Um, that not just the deep dive and the insights and the breakthroughs, but also the next steps, because that integrates it into the next level. So
Definitely.
gorgeous. So anyone who's interested, I've posted the link to the wealth retreat that's coming up. It's starting on Monday, the 12th of July. And I'll also share the link to Lara's Abundance Business Network Facebook group. So beautiful. And I love how deep you're going with this, Lara, and how it's just a process of deepening into those, really old roots that hold us back, and seeing it as seeing that this stuff isn't just ours, that it's bigger than us, that it's older than us. We don't need to be ashamed of having it, but
Yes.
being focused and holding space for that transformation is so essential. And I know you hold an incredible space. You hold an incredible deep space and safe space for people to come in and go super deep with you.
You. And what I want to say just before we close is that thank you so much, because one of the things I love about you is that I know I can't be too deep with you. And one of the abundance blocks was that I'm too deep and it's too intense and it's too much, and that people will run a mile. So I was trying to kind of keep it sweeter, like money manifestation, and like just transform those money blocks, kind of keeping it a bit more surface. And I don't know how to do that. It doesn't work. So one of the things I wanted to say is it's been such a pleasure to connect and be able to talk on the depth of this work. And that's been a journey for me to be like, you know what, just bring it, just say it, of what it
Yeah.
really is. And yeah, it's not going to be for some people, and that's okay. And then for those who it is aligned with, then that's great. And so I just wanted to share that, because I'm still
Mm,
working with that abundance block, to be honest with
yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
just want to say this is like a constant work in progress.
Oh, beautiful. Well, I'm so, glad that our connection, because is supporting that healing, because it's so true. And I know, when I have the courage to share about these deep blocks, my people, they respond so well. And I know in my recent challenge, Poetry Breakthrough Challenge, on day 3, we went into naming the roots of the ancient visibility blocks, and naming the witch wound and the ancestral roots of this. It really just, and being able to hold space for those depths. And poetry is absolutely amazing at being able to hold space for all of that. But what the feedback I got from people was just, thank you so much for making sense of why this is so hard for me. And it just
Yes.
resonated so deeply, because they're kind of going, why is this so hard? I've been working on my mindset. I've been, clearing my emotions, and I'm kind of going, yeah, this is bigger than you. This is older than you. This is, multi-generational project, and people just really felt seen, and
Beautiful.
felt heard, when we have the courage to name the depths that we go. And I also feel that we, people value what we offer even more. The right people, they're kind of going, that's
Yeah.
what I need. I need to go and work on that level because I've done the rest. I've
Yeah.
been there, done that. I've shifted my mindset and I'm still struggling, and this is why. So beautiful.
Amazing.
Mm.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous. So thank you so much, everyone. If you want to jump on to the Living Abundance Wealth Retreat, it's starting next week. And Lara, I know we'll stay in touch. And I wish you an amazing retreat. I know it's going to be a deep experience for so many people. So let us know if you have any questions. Both myself and Lara will hop in and respond to any comments. What are your takeaways from what we've been sharing today? And we'll come back in and respond to any more comments that you've got to share. And Vera saying, thank you so much, Lara, for sharing your experience. And yeah, love what we've been naming today.